Belarusian literature is the writing produced, both prose and poetry, by speakers of the Belarusian language. History. Pre-17th century, Belarusian literature was formed from the common basis of Kievan Rus literary tradition, which also gave rise to Ukrainian literature and Russian literature. A separate literary tradition of Belarus became apparent only in the 14th–15th centuries. The old Belarusian literature experienced its golden age in the 16th–17th centuries, when the old Belarusian language was the official language of the Great Duchy of Lithuania. The statutes of the Great Duchy of 1529, 1566 and 1588, as well as polemic religious literature, were all published in Old Belarusian language. Since the early 16th century, Belarusian literary works have been printed. The first printed Belarusian book was Psalter, which was printed in Prague by Francisc Scarina in 1517. During the 16th and 17th century, poetry and drama appeared in Belarusian literature under the influence of a more developed Polish literature. 18th and 19th centuries, due to cultural dominance of the Polish language within the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the Russian language within the Russian Empire, Belarusian literary tradition was severely damaged in the 18th century. Its renaissance began in the first half of the 19th century, when an anonymous satirical poem, Taras Napanes, was published. First novels have been authored by Paul Jakbarim, and several works have been contributed by Polish poets born in Belarus. Books were often published in the Latin alphabet, not the Cyrillic, which is the norm today. In the second half of the 19th century, there was a rise in the literary tradition of realism. Early 20th century, new period started after the Russian Revolution of 1905, when first Belarusian language newspapers were established in Vilnius. They brought together a circle of writers, who were arguing for developing Belarusian language and its literature. Belarusian literature of the time combined elements of Romanticism, realism and modernism. First World War. During the World War I and proclamation of the Belarusian People's Republic, the key themes within the Belarusian literature were patriotism and common life. Interwar period. After the establishment of BSSR in 1919, literary life in Belarus was concentrated around magazines Malanjak and Uzvisha, which were published by a group of Belarusian writers. Besides the authors from the previous periods, this was a period of active work of poets Mikhail Charo, Uladzimir Dubauka, Adam Duda, and writers Maxim Haeki, Sishkahatny and Kuzma Chorny. Outside of Belarus, Belarusian literature developed as well, in Vilnius, Kaunas, Prague. In 1934, Union of Writers of BSSR was established in Minsk. Tradition of socialist realism appeared in the 1930s. After war years. After the end of the World War II, key themes for the new Belarusian literature were wartime experiences, life of Belarusians in the USSR and national history. Since the 1960s, a new theme of morality appeared in the Belarusian prose. Many writers have been fighting for freedom of speech of the authors. There are several Belarusian authors who have left Belarus and now work in emigration. Leading literary magazines of Belarus are Literatura I Mastatstva and Polymir. In 2015, Belarusian investigative journalist and prose writer Svetlana Alexievich was awarded the 2015 Nobel Prize in Literature for her polyphonic writings, a monument to suffering and courage in our time. Famous Belarusian writers. Interwar period makers Charo, Kuzma Chorny, Jakub Kolas, Janka Kupala, Franciszek Umestiski. After war years, Alazadamovich, Uladzimir Ryhor Borodilin, Janko Bryle, The Vassal Baikal, Larissa Genush, Uladzimir Karatkovich, Hyanard Skliauko, Ivan Shamiakin, Sakrat Yanovich. Contemporary writers Svetlana Alexievich, Raisa Baruikova, Ryhor Marchuk, Edward Skobelu. Belarusian and Polish writers 17th century Simon Bunny, Andrei Rimza, 19th century Jan Barshevsky, Jan Shekzo.